Hi guys.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Olof Redman, the creative director of Ghost Giant. This is
Sebastian, the producer of Ghost Giant.
yes, we just said Ghost Giant twice,
Yes.
and it's our upcoming PSVR title, and we're so excited to talk to the GT VR guys about it.
Very excited.
And you guys, see you there.
So what's up everybody in the VR community, and welcome to the 8th episode of the GT VR Developer Report. I want to start by thanking all the viewers for supporting the show with all the likes, shares across Facebook, Reddit and Twitter. And for those who are new to the show, our aim is to give you an insight into VR developers' latest projects, exploring their past within the gaming industry, some Q&A with our live audience made up of VR enthusiasts and passionate content creators, and all this is made possible in Virtuality thanks to Rec Room. And that brings us to our guests this week. They are with us today to talk about their upcoming PlayStation VR game, Ghost Giant. So please welcome Olav Redmarm and Sebastian Strand from Zoink Games. Hey! Awesome. So how are you guys today? You all good?
Yeah,
Very
super good.
good.
Thanks. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier you was going to be having a party of some sort. Is it a pre-release party you were saying?
Yeah,
Sort of thing.
exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Before one of our developers, Katarina, she's from Germany and she's going back a year and then she's coming back again. But we're having the party before she leaves, so it's a bit of an early
That's
early
lovely.
party for Ghost
Yeah.
Giant. Yeah,
So how would you describe Ghost Giant to someone who has never seen your game before?
it's a very story-driven VR game, and you play as a giant ghost helping a little kid who's very lonely, and you kind of appear in the nick of time as a sort of superpower or guardian angel almost for this boy.
When you feel sad and lonely, friendship may come.
It's a lot about really breaking the wall between the player and the main character, and he really recognizing you as part of his world, part of the cost, and just you guys are cooperating. It's a story about friendship and gaining Louis' trust because he's really scared of you in the beginning. So story driven.
Yeah, so it's kind
adventure
of
puzzler.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a story-driven puzzle adventure kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
sounds
think
awesome.
it's probably like a bit more narrative-driven than most VR games.
So what was the inspirations behind making Ghost Giant? I mean, you spoke about, it sounds like there's some moral stories here when you're talking about friendship and trust and being on your own. What was the drive behind the game?
Actually, it was Klaus Lyngeled, our CEO, who's crazy about VR. He always brings in like, oh, you gotta try Beat Saber, you gotta try this boxing
Creed.
game
The
just
Creed.
this morning, and he first came to me about the idea like, what if you're a giant ghost and you're helping this little kid who's maybe bullied or like he's in trouble, and you come there as like almost like his self-confidence coming to pick him up, and then we made the prototype, and before we started on the actual game, after we had pitched it to Sony, and we brought on Sarah B. Elfgren, who's an acclaimed Swedish author of books and movies and TV series and now plays as well. So we really brought her in from day one on the actual game because we really wanted the story to really resonate with the puzzles and like not make it something you plaster on afterwards. But yeah, it's very much, she's been part of the project since the beginning.
Yeah. I think she also like took the original idea and kind of worked with it and kind of went with it in a slightly different direction than the demo was. I think.
Certainly added more depth to it, I would say. And there's certainly a hidden hidden theme to it that we aren't spoiling yet. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds awesome. It sounds really good. I love the idea of you got to love a game with a moral. Do you know what I mean? It means there's a bit of heart behind it and a bit of meaning for the people making it. That's really cool. So how many people work at Zoink Games?
Well, I think at this point, how many are we? 15, 20? 20 probably, right?
Yeah, around 20.
Yeah, we're actually
It's quite
growing a bit right now.
That's quite a large studio, yeah.
Yeah, and we're actually in this really big office. We actually share an office with like our sister companies, I guess. Like Image and Forum Games, they make the Steam World Series. So like actually like in the entire office, I think we're probably like 50 people, 60 maybe. Yeah, something like that. So it's actually quite a big office, but we're kind of several different companies kind of in the same place.
Yeah, and how long has Zoink Games existed as such? And is there any other games before made by Zoink Games?
Yeah, I think Klaus has been. I think it started with just Klaus, I think.
Yeah.
And it was like maybe 10 years. I don't know exactly how long. Probably like 10 to 15 years, I think.
Yeah, I think Sonic started out as doing commissions for or doing videos and games for companies on demand, and it wasn't until later that we.
Yeah, we actually started making our own games. So I think Stick It to the Man was probably our first game. Also kind of narrative puzzle-driven thing. Yeah. And yeah, so we had Stick It to the Man, and then we had Zombie Vikings, which was this kind of brawler zombie Viking title, multiplayer thing. And then we had, of course, Flipping Death and Faye that kind of released at the same time.
Nice. What inspired you to go into Virtuality then, as a studio?
I mean, Klaus was the one. Klaus was the one who first came up with the idea to try something in VR, and he is very like and Sonic Games in general is very driven by like trying new things, and we don't usually do follow-ups. We often do just something new. We don't stick to one IP, and we also like to try new things. And Klaus really wanted to go into VR and thought that there's a real potential to be immersed in a different way, and I was actually very new to VR. I barely hadn't tried anything before I started on the project, and but I felt that it was really part like a great fun way to discover VR, to develop the game and try all kinds of different games to get inspired, and it's really grown on me, and yeah. Yeah. Anything to say?
Yeah, no. I totally agree, and I think like VR was also pretty like new to me. And I think like for most of us on the team, so it's kind of been this, just kind of discovering VR as we've been developing the game as well. And there's also just this thing about VR, like there's not a whole lot of rules. Like usually when you make games, you kind of have, you have just, maybe 20 years or something of, just games kind of being, kind of being able to like look at how other games kind of made stuff, but VR is still like new, so like it's a lot of times there's like not really any solution for them. You need to come up with them yourself.
Yeah, for instance, we have a real challenge was to, we have this almost like diorama world with lots of characters moving around, and the question was how to one big challenge was to direct the player's focus in storytelling and without taking too much power from the player, and worked a lot with dimming the lights and adjusting audio, and because there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time, and that we felt like we had to kind of invent that ourselves, I think, because there aren't many references.
Yeah, so like because you can't just like grab the camera from the player, right? Like you would kind of usually do in a cutscene. So we kind of had to, think of a way to like, how do we direct the player without like just cranking their head in
that
some
way?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's brilliant, man. I bet that's fantastic when you're making this game. I bet there's loads of moments or lots of moments when that happens, when you suddenly go, oh, look, I've just got an idea for this, and someone comes in and they do something, and then everyone's like, wow, that's awesome. It's very exciting, Virtuality. I think it's really exciting.
Certainly, we all agreed that after the after this project, we were really like, I could actually go. I mean, everybody get their new ideas, get new ideas rolling, working on a project like this, and like yeah, I could actually do this again, and going from the beginning of the project. We're like, oh, this is totally new. What if I get nauseous, or what if I can't stay on the project because I get nauseous? Or but it's worked out really fine, and yeah, it's been just so much fun, so much new to explore.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. So your game is it a PlayStation VR exclusive?
Yeah.
Your game's coming out physically as well. Is that in America as well, and the EU and stuff? Is that everywhere?
And it will,
yes,
by Perp Games.
Yeah, so it's gonna be in the EU. It's gonna be a simultaneous physical and digital release. And I'm not sure exactly. There's gonna be a physical release in the US as well. I'm not sure if it's gonna be at the same time, but it's gonna happen.
How exciting for the day when you get to hold your game, your creation.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Amazing.
He's gripping his hands like, superb. So now I'm going to pass you over to our lovely studio audience who have got some questions lined up for you good selves.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Tez from Teznet Gaming. Hello to Olav and Sebastian.
Hello,
I'm actually from New Zealand. I represent the New Zealand audience. There's not too many of us on the show, so yeah, welcome aboard.
Thanks.
I haven't seen too much on your game, but I watched your E3 interview. The way you designed the game was to interact with it like a doll's house, if you will. You can touch everything in it. I want to know, the game area looks more like a sandbox to me, like with a postman pat vehicle rolling around and, and different things like that. I want to know if when Ghost Giant goes and interacts with stuff, whether it's story-driven as to what you touch and interact with, or whether we have to be directed to a certain bit to touch.
But I'd say it's a little bit of a mix. Like there are some quest-driven physical puzzles, and there's like stuff in the environment to play with, and it doesn't do anything for the story, and there are collectibles and such.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think like basically at the end of every playtest we did, I think like people really loved just kind of how detailed the world was, and just kind of how much stuff they could interact with. But no matter kind of how detailed it was, people always wanted more interaction. Like, oh, I just want more fun small stuff to kind of poke around with. And at some point you kind of need to stop, right? Because we had like a limited time frame, but we really tried to do that with Ghost Giant. Like we really tried to have the world be immersive, and we should be able to like interact with, basically, like if you try to reach out and do something with something, it should at least react to you. So that's something that we did have from the start.
Okay, yeah, because I saw that you could spin like a treehouse looking thing around and look inside it, and it looks like you've done it. There's quite a lot of interaction from what I've seen. So yeah, very well done. And the way that this story goes is so unique, comparing it with another game, obviously, but the interaction and to follow Louis, if you will, adventures sounds like it's going to be really awesome to follow. So thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Your game is also very detailed. It's got quite a simplistic look, but when you look closer, there is a lot of detail going on.
We have a great. That's very much thanks to Leo Brynjelsson, who is I'd say our like lead environment artist for the project, who is very lots of his mind has gone into the art and the 3D art and the textures, and he's really passionate guy with a great sense for sunsets, skyboxes, and
nice.
Yeah, really beautiful work.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey guys, I'm Deej. Really nice to meet you.
Hi.
I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about, I believe, Luis. I believe he's part fox, part boy, and lives on a sunflower farm. I was just wondering if you could dive into a little bit more of that.
Oh yeah, so he's actually a scruffy-looking cat, but that makes him a little more fox-like, but he lives on a sunflower farm together with his mom, which most of the starting out you don't see much of her, and he's kind of avoiding the topic once you get to know him better and build trust. you notice that it's like you are grown-ups. Other grown-ups can't see you. Only Louis can see you, and he's kind of your only link to the real world, except for you ghosting around, like moving stuff, and he's kind of avoiding the topic of his mother, and that's where you, that's kind of like, besides getting to know him better and gain his trust and help him around the world, it's also like getting to know him better and his story better, and yeah, what's up? Why is he so overworked? Like, yeah.
Because you mentioned he was like bullied, or maybe a bit sad, or whether he's bullied or not, I don't know. But you were saying along those lines, he sounds like he's a little bit down.
Yeah, and yeah, you're there to give him a little extra push to just pull through a hard couple of days there. So a lot about exploring the town where he lives, Sancourt. It's actually a fictional French village. It was Sarah B. Elfgren's, the author's, idea to try something. She thought that like through making it French, maybe we would see something new style-wise, and rather than maybe an American small town, we wanted to try. Like, we thought, I mean, looking for imagery and making a mood board of French picturesque cities, we very quickly came to a quite different style from what we usually do. We have quite American looking and sounding games otherwise. So.
And I think wasn't it at the press event? We had a press event this last Friday, and there was actually this. I remember one of the press people just saying that it was nice to just kind of see a rural environment like in a game, because you usually don't see that.
Yeah.
Would you say there is an environmental message in this game as well, or?
I mean, definitely like a celebration of beautiful nature but not so much in the story in itself.
Understood.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Deej.
Hey, I caught it. That's good. Good start. Hi, I'm South Ketchup VR from YouTube, and I kind of want to get more into, we've already said about narrative, and Sarah B. Elfgren. She's known for really a trilogy of books mostly, and they obviously have a bit of a slightly darker side to them as well.
Yeah. And
most of what we've seen so far of the trailer has been mostly light-hearted.
Yeah.
But and some of the comments I'd say, because obviously VR has slightly older audience in some parts. Is there another darker level hidden below some of this as a satire for people to dig their teeth into as it goes along? Something like that, so maybe not as quite as light an area as it may seem at different points.
Yeah, because when I look at that game, I think to myself, is this a child's game or is this an adult's game? I mean...
And I think that's like one of the, like, probably is from first impressions. I think a lot of people kind of get that impression, and we've actually also had testers that kind of came in with this, like, okay, yeah, this is like maybe not a kids game, you know, but it's kind of got the cute kind of cutesy art style and everything. But then there's kind of this, there's always like this slightly, darker undertone, I think, and I think this is specifically at one point in the narrative where it kind of develops. Like we don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, there is more depth to it.
We don't know the spoilers.
I would say that I mean, you could. It's similar to a Pixar, not unlike a Pixar movie. There's different tones. Something the kids will like, something the grown-ups will like, something the kids won't pick up on, but the grown-ups will, but there's definitely the whole spectrum in there, not just cute or happy all the time, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think it's more age, a broad spectrum of ages that it can appeal to. So it's not just that limited range, much more broader.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like more maybe of kind of a kid-friendly game rather than a kid game, like more maybe like a family-friendly kind of game.
So when we was talking about
Which
your game, and you was talking about art styles and the way it looks, it reminded me of Animal Crossing. First of all,
Right.
even the way the camera angle is at that position, I thought of Animal Crossing. I mean, does that happen? Does anyone else ever think of that? Has anyone else ever said that?
Oh yeah, I think
Oh,
like
yeah.
half the YouTube comments probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a lot of Animal Crossing, and I think we got a lot of what's the the black and white. I think a lot of people just like seeing the hands in this kind of tiny environment. I also got yeah, but I think other than style, I would say it's not similar to Animal Crossing. But if you like the aesthetic of Animal Crossing, then you will definitely love Ghost.
Yeah, right. Wolfie Smith. I do a lot of streaming on YouTube. I was wondering, do you find that in VR you can get a better connection between the player and the character in the game?
Yeah, we definitely try to push those moments where you connect with the main character Louis, and yeah, the way you yourself bend closer to a house, like open a wall, look inside, poke someone, they go, "Ooh, a ghost," or not but like, "Oh, what was that?" And then you listen in on their conversation, or and see, okay, they need something. Where can I find that in the environment? That's very personal, I think, on another level than like clicking, dragging, scrolling to zoom in, and it's very much more direct. And I think we really try to push that kind of, like, it's just poke the character and there you are. Like, and
I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I think of games like, I mean, obviously you've only got a couple. You've got Moss, where with the little mouse, you high five at, and you really feel the connection.
Right.
Falcon Age that's coming out, where you can fist bump the character, your Falcon, and it sits on your arm.
It's another level of interaction, isn't it? That's what it is. You are physically interacting.
Yeah, a lot of games don't seem to be sort of really pushing that sort of part of VR.
Right. Yeah. Actually, one of the Sebastian's babies within our baby.
My pet project.
We in-house we call it the buddy mode, or you wouldn't want to tell us more about that, Sebastian? Or
but it's basically exactly that kind of interaction, and we noticed a lot when people were playing the demo. They would we just like wave to Louis, just like instinctively. Oh, whoa! I got some notification thing here.
That's all right.
So we did work actively. We kind of trying to bring that into the game, and I will say that there's definitely that kind of that level of interaction, and we do kind of try to really push kind of the organic kind of relationship with Louis, I guess, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And a bit we do the. I mean, you can wave at him and he waves back, and you can fist bump or high five or we worked a lot with that kind of organic interaction.
If you actually feel something for the character, and sort of forget that it's it's virtual, and it's actually start treating it as a proper living thing. It just really, it's going to take it to another level.
Maybe midway through development, where we kind of had this deadline, and we were kind of we were kind of pushing. We needed to do like a bunch of like last minute fixes, and I had just been playing kind of the same levels like over and over just throughout the day, and kind of last minute our audio guy Marcus, he finally got the like actual voice lines in. That's like a whole other thing. Like before we have voice acting, we actually have this text to speech thing. So we have this kind of we have this really emotional game, but we have this robot voice doing all the voices. So, but when the voice acting, the real voice acting actually came in, and just together with kind of the music and just the environment and everything, like I've never even felt that way about a game that I've worked on ever. I just felt this like deep connection. I just got so happy. It was just so cool. Yeah, it was actually really cool. And I always like, if we have a tight deadline or whatever, I always try to think back on that. Just if I can, if I felt that way, then maybe other people might as well. and that's just something really cool and really special.
The bit that always makes me laugh when I watch it is when Louis looks up, just screams,
"Help! It's real! It's no! Leave me alone! No!
and legs him.
Yeah.
Because so many games, they look up and start talking. You think, no, that wouldn't be me. I'd be down the road.
Yeah. Kim Lin Tran, the voice actor of Louis, she's really she's been so great and so helpful, and she actually has been recording the lines from over the. She's in LA recording and sending over to us, and she's been really great, like answering on short notice, like, oh, we have a bunch of rewrites, or can you try these retakes? Like, yeah, sure, and just blah, 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 she just spits out this huge recording with lots of different takes, and it's just gold to dig from, and like, oh, this could be great, and this animation with this line, and like, so she's really great.
Going back to your game again, has it got any pro features? Any features for the PlayStation Pro?
No, we did really try to focus on developing the game, for the base PS4. Like kind of from the start, and we did really like try to focus on getting the game as good as possible for the base PS4.
And instead, kind of push. I mean, where we had technical limits, we instead tried to push the style and make really nice hand painted textures, and make it more. Make it look handmade and with what we had, rather push graphics that way.
Yeah.
Nice. What controller inputs have you used? So have you got the DualShock and the moves?
It's just the moves. It's 2 moves. And it's really like just all about this, being present in the world with, both of your hands. I think actually like having.
It will only be the move controllers, and it wouldn't work great with the DualShock. It wouldn't work great with the DualShock.
Exactly.
Awesome. Hey, so just another quick question. So I've watched the trailer, as I say, and what got me on the trailer, and I think it got a lot of people, is the awesome music score that you've used. Just the intro, the whole show to the trailer with the awesome tune. Did you hire composers and bring in composers for that? And if so, are you going to release the soundtrack at all, like on Spotify or even on the net or anything like that? It's just so incredible. It sounds like like you mentioned, the Pixar film. It's something like that to me. It really is incredible.
It's actually a local band. Thank you so much, and I will let him know and let them know. And it's actually a local band called Bortre Rymden, and it's led by Joel Bille, who also made the soundtrack for Fe. And he actually made the main theme before the game and presented it to us and thought, hey, this would actually fit really well. And then he made more soundtrack for us, and that's actually part of the theme in there is from a song that was made before the game, and then he just expanded on that.
You can actually listen to Bortre Rymden on Spotify right now. I know there has been talks about, I can't confirm anything, there has been talks about releasing the soundtrack separately. So I definitely think that's something that might happen.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I know our man Jimith, he's a bit of a musician to heart, and he'd love it. I know that for a fact. So he can't be here today, but I asked that on behalf of him. So thank you very much.
That was a Jimmy question without a doubt, man. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Say hi to him.
Cheers, guys. So I was wondering, how long can we expect a typical playthrough to last? And with us being this ghost giant, do we have to play nice every time, or could we sort of play tricks on the near town? I believe Sandcourt, is it called? Could we go through and wreak havoc at all, or not?
Have you got to be a good ghost giant or a bad ghost giant?
Ghost giant is nice. You can't be super mean, but there's a ton of like fun interactions that you can do. Obviously, the game is 5 to 6 hours approximately.
Yeah.
And we also have bonus content. We kind of have we have Easter eggs, and we have collectibles kind of hidden in level and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds
You
just good
do-
fun being able to just poke people. If they can't see you, obviously, and only he can see you, that sounds like it's going to be quite funny anyway.
yeah.
You know?
And we do actually get to blow up one or two things in the game. But,
Oh yeah,
very
without
good.
spoiling
we
anything.
do.
Of course. Good.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Going back to it's been covered a lot actually. Narrative, because narrative is very, very important in different aspects, and I think you actually said on some other interviews about approach of narrative and how VR changes that. In terms of your filmic narrative is kind of very straight down the line. And the interactions of this, is it a straight linear narrative, or are you going to be throwing more curveballs? And if you are, how do you take the narrative as a process and work that into a game overall, like Ghost Giant, where, interactivity and presence is going to obviously be a big factor?
So there's definitely a red line through the game that there's a linear story to follow, but with a lot of room to play in between heavier story bits. Or there's a lot of there's a lot of freedom in how you do the physical puzzles, or how you solve different throwing puzzles, for instance. Or but there's definitely a linear story in there that kind of checkpoints you through the puzzling elements.
So it's still like, maybe around your office there may have at some point been, here's our storyboards of we're moving through scenes in this type of manner, type of issue. So you've still got the older art of storyboard telling, like a filmic storyboard telling as you're developing.
Yeah, definitely some direction on a lot of direction on animations and specific scenes between characters, drama unfolding, and but in between that, it's just you and the world, and just interacting with it. And
that's the thing. If you're going to add a whole world to be able, or a world to be able to move around and interact, you're going to have to give people almost a bit of free roam at the same time of trying to direct that character into doing what you need to do for the story to progress, which is where you go back to where you were saying that maybe the world goes a little bit dark and some light shines somewhere. So then it still feels like you're still deciding to check out what's going on over there, instead of forcing them to go over. So yeah.
Right. That's definitely that's very minimal, very minimalistic graphical interface and instructions on what to do. At the most you can listen in for hints, characters, and poke Louis for some hints, or but there's a lot of we dim the lights and try. We want to while we also in style wise try to capture this kind of crafted style, homemade style. It's also kind of like a miniature theater scene almost. Every level is like a diorama or a scene which you dim down the lights, and there's almost like a theatrical spotlight on a very important story event.
Forget he's behind you; it's you're behind everybody else.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wicked, man.
Cool.
Going back to the moral thing, I think it sounds like we could all use a Ghost Giant now and again. Do you know what I mean? I like the sound of that.
Right.
When everyone hits that rock bottom time, everyone hits
Definitely.
that. You get to that point in life, and sometimes you're like, why? What's going on? Why is this happening? And it sounds lovely that this is going to happen. That he's got this giant ghost to come along and help him out. I love that, and you are that person helping him. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, that felt like there are not enough games where the player gets to be nice to someone, I think, it's nice to make a game where you don't necessarily have to shoot someone I think
Virtuality is doing a lot more of that anyway. In general, there's a lot of games where they're a lot nicer and they're almost to a wider audience. I mean, there is obviously the crazy games, but in general, there seems to be some lovely story-driven games and experiences coming out that just wouldn't have happened in non-VR.
Right.
I mean,
Transference,
transfer.
that's
Have you heard of that?
No,
Oh,
You've got to
sounds
check
cool.
transference is a real. For me, I thought that was a complete.
Yeah.
It's only 2 hours long, but it's such a trip. It is a
Right.
Yeah,
real.
it's brilliant, that one. Awesome,
Yeah,
highly recommend that one.
and I always find that games where, and it's a mixture of obviously the visuals and the sound, virtuality, or while you're in it, you forget
Right.
that you are in that room and or you're in an office or whatever
Yeah,
it is. Transference for me was one of those games where I was like, this is
Yeah.
blowing my mind. It did
I
blow
mean, you
my
become
mind.
so vulnerable and like kind of surrender yourself so completely to like this story, this experience, kind of rather than having a screen and like.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
even even after like developing in VR for like over a year, I mean you still just kind of lose yourself sometimes. Like I mean, just even checking out Rec Room for the first time, it was just
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, it feels so real. It's like
Yeah.
a real world.
Awesome. Right, I've got some viewer questions. And here we go. So the K-Locker asks, when you make a VR game, you're currently catering for a smaller audience than a traditional flat screen game. What considerations did you make when choosing to make an exclusive VR title?
Yeah, I think I think we mostly just kind of wanted to make the game that we wanted to make. But I do think Ghost Giant is it's quite approachable. Like I think it's like most people will be able to play Ghost Giant. And like I don't know if it was exactly like I think that was actually kind of part of kind of the game that we wanted to create as well from the start. Just something that anyone can just like put on a headset and play. So even if the kind of maybe the audience is smaller, we do kind of want to make it broad still.
Yeah, that's
We
it,
were
man.
much
You
very-
just regardless, you're going to make the game, and to be fair, I only think VR audiences are growing. They're not diminishing because of the way we talk about it and the way you can hear people's passion behind the technology once they discover it. And this is where, and I'll bring it up every time, when the Oculus Quest comes out and the Cosmo, and you can pass a headset freely around a room or take it with you, that's when that is literally advertising virtuality, making it easy to advertise it because you have to be in it to know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Everyone I talk to about virtuality literally says to me, "Oh, like a 3D film."
Yeah,
That'd be
totally. And I
fantastic.
think that's probably what we really need to kind of the level that VR really needs to get to before it blows up. Because I think anyone that's actually like tried VR knows that it's amazing. And I've also had heard that comparison to 3D film. And kind of 3D film kind of came and went. It was kind of a gimmick, and people kind of equate VR with that. But I just don't think that's true at all. VR, I mean VR is the future for sure. Is it like the first time I tested VR? I tested VR in a bar actually on a guy's laptop, and he kind of brought this. I think it was the first generation Oculus, and the first generation dev kit, Oculus dev kit,
DK1,
and yeah, and that was like resolution wise and everything, it wasn't great, and it wasn't like completely sold. Kind of the first stuff I tried, but then I tried this driving game where you were just kind of driving around with a car, and there was just these like huge ramps and stuff. So I kind of just I aimed at one of those ramps and I just went up the ramp, and and then I kind of stopped in the air and I started falling down, and I was just looking down, and I actually felt the vertigo, and I actually had to close my eyes, like because it really felt like I was going to just smash into the ground. And I
That's like the flying experience here we had before.
Oh yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was really the point where I truly like understood what VR is and why it's just as revolutionary as it is.
The last few question we've got is from Rocket Tommy. He says, what inspired you to make the game and how long was it for development?
Yeah, you go ahead. I think the inspiration I think we already kind of touched on a bit. I think it was very much like Klaus' idea from the beginning, and he was just trying to I guess also just like, okay, well, like what can we do in VR, like what So we're in the very late stages, very late stages of development right now. Ghost Giant has been in development for well, a little more over a year. I think, you know, I came on as one of the first ones on the project as a producer, and that was in March, I think, last year. And before that, we had yeah, so actually we had the prototype before, and that was like in 2017, kind of in the fall, and then the project kind of started getting going kind of at the start of 2018. So that's actually kind of short. I don't know if like 1 year maybe sounds like a lot, but to make kind of make the game that we did, it's just been incredible actually. That we managed to, you know, pull it together in such a short time frame.
We're about 10 people working on it at the most at the same time, right? We count people in the studio and Sarah and yeah.
So what was it like going to E3? Was that have you been to E3 before, or was this your first time when you went, or?
That was the first time. That was crazy. I mean, first thing, I had never seen so tall buildings, you know. So that kind of fueled inspiration for being Louis and seeing these giant things. but yeah, I don't know. But it was really fun to go there and have all these people try our game and like you said, we actually that was there where we noticed how people wanted to wave at Louis, and there were a lot of happy accidents where, like, oh, they happened to maybe wave to him exactly when he waves back. We were like, no, we want that to actually click. We want that to actually happen because you wave at him. Yeah, and that's why we started talking about actually bringing that into, like, sure, we have these scripted events, but in between we want Louis to react to you. And so that there was got a lot of great inspiration from going out there and trying it with. And I think one of the creators of Moss swung by and said, yeah, it was really patting us on the back and like, yeah, you go, you no, it was a lot of fun. Just the response and bring that home. And it was when we were like kind of 30-40% in development, and there was a lot of time to take the feedback in and make the game better. Yeah.
Is there anyone at E3 you met that you've always wanted to meet? Obviously, being developers, you are also gamers. So is there?
Yeah. I'm actually. It's a shame you can't see it now, but I'm wearing a Squanch Tendo T-shirt, and we actually in the press room we sat next to the Squanch games guys, and I got to meet Justin Roiland and see their game Trover Saves the Universe, which was just hilarious. And I love accounting, and nothing has ever just made me want to like fall down to the floor laughing because you're so overwhelmed with all the crazy characters and like. But it was great, and the crew there were really nice too. Like so we still are in touch with them. That's how I got this shirt, and we send them Soink and image and form stuff. They're great. Actually, Justin Roiland is apparently a big fan of the SteamWorld games, our cousins, sisters. Right. So so that was fun to bring home here, and that was really cool. That was definitely a high point, and just crazy to share a room with them.
So yeah, just wanted to know, I don't know if it's got it or not, but trophy support. I know a lot of us at home want to know if it's a platinum trophy. Everyone loves those sort of things. And whether you have got trophies for it.
Yes, we have trophies, and yes, we have a platinum trophy.
Hey!
Fantastic, guys? Woohoo! That's a challenge for me. Thanks very much. Nice to meet you all, and thanks for coming on the show. Awesome.
Your game, I think, has got a lot of comparisons to Moss and Polyarch, and I kind of sort of like say, are you feeling the pressure at all? Because in terms of games that is most wanted, along with Moss, your game is probably one of the most wanted,
especially after E3. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, definitely from the start when we didn't know what we were doing and just experimented a lot and like how the heck are we going to make this in 1 year and But now today I'm just so happy with what we have. It's such a rare feeling to. Usually you don't want to touch your game after, and I don't say this to try. Honestly, I just play tested it the other week, and we all keep saying it like how we still are touched by our own game, I think we've accomplished what we set out to do, we're just really happy and just feel like whatever happens, we're really happy with the game we made, the story we're telling, and the subject we're handling, which we're really everyone's really passionate about and have. Yeah, thanks.
I want to thank Olav and Sebastian for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure meeting you both. Oh man, I can't wait for Ghost Giant. Thank you very much. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so much fun.
Up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now we need a group photo.